it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Our life as best friends who are more like sisters.
Ah, yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
I just started the timer by myself.
Yes!
Scott.
Damn it.
Yeah, it's okay, Scott. But I just wanted you to know that I did it because I'm a responsible adult who keeps track of her time.
I start it now after the intro.
Oh, I did too. So you were going to do it? Like we were in a race?
What's the time you have right now?
23 seconds? 24
16,
seconds?
17, 18.
Oh, we'll go
he's
with
good.
yours.
Yeah, we're going.
We'll go with yours. Actually, it's probably a good idea that I started mine in advance. That's awesome. Oh, boy. Is this your favorite thing that you do during the week?
Oh, 100%.
I know.
The podcast?
I know.
The sessions?
The sessions.
Yes!
Isn't it? I really love it.
I agree.
So if we were to do this full time,
Yep.
what do we need our listeners to do for us?
Pay for our salaries. Pay for our cost of living. If you want to hear us every day, you need to fund my salary.
I'm not positive that the world could stand us every single day. But in all reality, I think if our listeners want to help us get to where I think we all hope we are going,
like number one podcast in the world.
Oh, well, maybe a little ways to go there. But yes, it is good to shoot for the stars there.
I mean,
they have
good to have goals.
Share some of their favorite clips, or they have to share some of their favorite episodes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So they have to go to the YouTubes and they have to be like, you need to watch these girls, check this out.
Or even just send in the topics that resonate with them or that they want us to, debate.
That's right. That's right. We would love
We're
that.
master debaters.
This is the time where you hold up your little mini chapstick that looks like a vibrator.
We're master debaters.
We're master debaters. I would love that. That's another way that they could help us, right? Is they could be like, I would love to hear you guys talk about this particular topic, and email us at themorelovepodcast@gmail.com. They could like and subscribe on our YouTubes at the More Love Podcast. They could join our subscription service. So we have 2 different subscription levels. One is $5 a month. One is $9 a month. But you get some pretty cool things for that. So, it's one of those things that you see going around on Facebook or other social media platforms that's like, if you want to help support a small business, this is what you can do. But the reality is that's exactly it. You can you can subscribe, you can share, you can tell people about it. We're on every single podcast platform you can possibly imagine. So anything that anyone is interested, if you like what we're saying or what we're doing to help support what it is that we are doing, just helps us get a little bit closer to doing this full time. And if you can't handle that, we understand. So, in which case, don't do any of that. So I have to tell you an empathy story that happened to me in the Burger King drive-thru. So,
okay.
There's a Burger King over by my house, actually over by where I bought my Telluride. And I like to stop there very occasionally to get a BK Mocha Joe.
Okay.
So the first thing I do when I pull in is I notice that they have 2 lanes. And
At the Burger King? You mean like a McDonald's?
Yeah.
Wow.
You had a reaction to that too?
I didn't know that was, it's been a very long time since I've been there, but the one by my house is right by the Amazon returns. So I see it.
You see it all the time. Yeah.
But they don't have 2 lanes.
But why would you have that reaction? Why would you be confused about why there's 2 lanes at Burger King?
Because I've never seen one like that.
That's it? There's no part of you that's like, does Burger King have enough traffic for 2 lanes? Because that's what happened to me.
That's a good point.
That's what happened to me.
I gave up fast food a long time ago, so I don't know.
Never have I ever had to wait in line
At a Burger King.
at Burger King. So I immediately felt bad. When I say felt bad, like it was hard.
You felt bad that you judged?
Well, I felt bad that I had that reaction that was like, there's 2 lanes here at the Burger King and we don't need that. And Burger King's trying to be McDonald's. And you don't need to be McDonald's, Burger King. You can be Burger King.
Well, you rule.
Well, that's the second part of the story. Okay.
I always know your brain's so freaking
So
well.
I pull up. I swear to God, it's 8:00 in the morning. Okay. I pull up. Roll down my window. Good morning. Welcome to Burger King where you rule. How can I help you today? Okay. Then I get very uncomfortable.
That's very awkward.
I don't need them to tell me that I rule.
I know.
I don't like hearing I rule. I don't like
even the commercials make me feel uncomfortable.
Rule mentality. I don't want to be in control here at Burger King. I want to be in control of my own life, but I don't want to be in control. I don't want to rule at Burger King. So then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I say, good morning. May I please have a medium BK Mocha Joe? And they're not called that anymore.
Oh.
So he kindly says, do you mean a mocha iced coffee? And I say, yep, that's what I mean. He's like, great. He said, anything else? And I said, nope, that'll be it today. And he says, can I interest you in an apple pie or 2 cookies for $1?
It's 8 a.m.
Ma'am, sir, it is 8 a.m. No, thank you. I don't want a cherry pie and 2 cookies. So I then feel annoyed that I have to answer that question. So here I am. I haven't even gotten through my order yet. I'm having all these feelings. I'm having feelings about the fact that there's 2 lines. I'm having feelings about the fact that he said, you rule, welcome to Burger King where you rule. I feel like he's been forced to say that.
Oh, yeah,
he doesn't want to say that to me.
It's a script. The 2 cookies and a pie is a script,
2
too.
cookies and a pie is a script, too. But it didn't say on the script, only ask this after 11.
Right. It's also, did you also get the question about the coupons?
No.
Oh.
What? If I had any coupons?
No, I think they sell coupons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I probably would have bought them because I would have felt so bad at this point, right? But I did not like that. So now he's asking me if I want the cherry pie or whatever and the cookies. And I say, no, thanks. Even though inside I'm like, it's 8 a.m. and I'm not eating any fat bastard cookies and a pie with my already crazy coffee that tastes like a milkshake, right? So he's like, great, okay, you can pull forward. There again, I'm reminded of the 2 lanes and how there's no one in either lane at this point. And again, I've never been in a situation where it's been so backed up at Burger King. So I'm just feeling all these feels. And I pull up and he again says,
you rule.
Welcome to Burger King where you rule. That'll be, $4 or whatever.
So awkward.
So I hand him my card. And what does he ask me?
I can't. Do you want more pie?
Would you like a crown?
No, he doesn't. You don't even have a kid in the car?
You better have fucking said yes.
Listen to me.
You don't even have a kid in the car.
No.
It's you by yourself.
Would you like a crown?
Hell yeah.
No, the answer is no.
What?
I am so uncomfortable at this moment that I...
Only if you put it on me. No.
I would have said something like that.
I am like, what is happening in this experience right now? I said, no, thanks. I think I'll pass on the crown. Without skipping a beat, he's like, okay, right? Not like, yeah, I know, right? Again, that has to be part of the script.
100%.
I don't have a kid in the car.
Nothing.
It's me. I'm 42 years old. I'm getting a coffee. I don't need a Burger King crown.
No.
Right? So he hands me back the card. He then says, it's free fries today. Would you like some free fries?
Of course you said yes to that.
Oh, yeah, freaking love fries. I don't care if it's 8 a.m.
Well, it's hash browns.
Yeah. This might as well be, right?
Sure do, Brian.
I think it was free fries, but it wasn't like you can have the fries now. It was come back later and you can get the free fries. So
then
just
don't
so you
mention
know,
it.
it's free fries, right?
I can't.
And I said, thank you very much. I'm thinking I'm not going through this line twice to have this experience, right? So anyway, he gives me my coffee and what does he say?
You roll.
You roll.
I can't.
That's his job to say that.
It's
He's
the
supposed
worst.
to say
It's
that.
the worst.
I just have some questions about that. Right?
the worst.
Like, one, why are we doing that? Two,
It's their marketing. It's their.
Who came up with that?
I
Three,
know.
why are we requiring people to say those kind of things to other people? Four, why am I so uncomfortable in this line to just get a mocha iced coffee?
It's just weird.
3 times I was told that I rule. So my car is pulling away and he's like, you rule. You rule.
And is it because of the king? And the king
Yes.
rules the kingdom?
Yes.
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 It's bad.
Just,
It's bad.
but
It's not even good marketing. It's not even funny.
I don't like
I wish they'd
how
go
I
back
feel.
to the BK Lounge. Do you remember the BK
Right?
Lounge? That was the best
What
marketing.
was in the BK Lounge?
It was just
was
what they
just-
called Burger King, the BK
Right.
Lounge. Come and sit hang
Right.
out at the BK Lounge.
Like you're in the 70s. You know what I really like? Arby's. We got the meats.
Have you seen that Arby's is really like redoing its buildings? They have a new
No.
color scheme.
They're updating.
What, Scott? You sound like you just stubbed your toe.
Oh, shit.
What?
You got the meat
He
sweats?
loves the meats.
Oh,
What happened? You pulled. He pulled.
You pulled your jaw?
You pulled.
He's thinking of the meat. He's thinking of the.
He pulled his jaw.
He's thinking of the tube steak.
the tube steak boogie? No. So now I have to interrupt your story with another story.
Oh, good.
I can't wait. What's it about? Meat sweats.
The meats?
No, I had
skin flu?
I had Bell's palsy on this side of my face.
When? Do you know
Last
what that
week?
means?
2002.
Oh, wow. That was a long time
And
ago.
had it for like almost 6 months totally. Like
From what?
Hairless.
Stress.
No, they
Yeah.
it's a virus that attacks the nerves in your face or whatever. And I don't know what happened, but
This is what happened.
they couldn't figure it out. But anyway, so this side of my face didn't work. So when I was doing voiceovers and stuff, I had to actually like lift this part of my lip up to talk.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know.
do you
Erin's
mean to talk?
Erin's gonna have a fucking yeah. Erin,
has-
I know
he had
that.
to say,
I just
Don't get
knew
me
that this
going.
was a mistake telling you about this. But
So
anyway.
what happened there when Rebecca was talking about the meat sweats and the tube steak?
No, when she
you
said
pulled it again?
Arby's, I went, ugh, and certain
It re-engaged
faces.
your Bell's palsy?
No. Will you let me talk?
Sorry.
Because of my Bell's palsy, I have like this TMJ problem where certain. All right, I'm done. Goodbye.
It's that tube steak. It's that tube steak. That's how I got the Bell's palsy.
Stop it.
Do
Scott, I'm
you
here.
realize
I'm here.
that
Stop
this
it.
is the last time
Stop
that
it
I
right now.
make
We are
myself
paying,
vulnerable
listen
on this
to me.
fucking show?
We are very into what you're talking about right now,
No.
and I'm going to keep
No.
it together. Rebecca's fault.
You're worse than
She's
my
the one
friends
that's
in
doing
third
it.
grade.
She's the one that's doing it. I'm not going to look at her, Scott. I'm present with you right now. Please
Sure.
tell me
No.
about your BP.
I've moved on.
No, we're not.
No, not
done.
BP. It's
We're not
TMJ.
done. Bell's palsy.
No, I know, but
TMJ.
translated into
Okay,
the
please
TMJ.
listen, I'm not looking at Rebecca so that we can hear what you have to
So
say
it
here.
reignited your TMJ.
What did? The meats?
No, when you went the.
Oh, yeah. So you said, "Ugh," like that. And then what happened? It hit your
And
TMJ.
It made my jaw freeze up.
What's it
little bit.
feel like?
Like a pulled, like a pulled
yeah.
muscle type of thing.
I bet.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That was the whole story?
Just the whole story.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Scott.
Sure.
And I hope that your jaw feels better.
Do you want to know what I do intentionally? No. Specifically at Starbucks.
What?
I refuse to use their lingo. It's a small, medium, or large.
Oh, you won't say venti?
No, I don't even know what that
I
means.
like that. I like that clip.
Yeah.
What is that from? This is 40, or it's one of those clips. It's a Paul Rudd clip.
Can I take your order? Can I get a tall chai?
A large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti. Yeah, the biggest one you got.
Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Danny.
Yeah. Large is large. In fact, tall is large, and grande is Spanish for large. Venti's the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Look, Dick, venti is a large coffee.
Really? Says who? Fellini?
How much is that? Here's a 10.
Do you accept lira, or is it all?
So anyway, that's an example of when a highly sensitive person goes to Burger King and can't just enjoy the experience of getting a coffee. And has it kept me from going to Burger King again? Yeah, it has, because
it's uncomfortable and weird.
I feel badly and uncomfortable. I don't want someone to have to say those things to me. And I wonder if anyone has checked in with Burger King about their marketing and what they're doing and what maybe they should be doing differently.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's time for a reevaluate. It's time for a SWOT analysis.
Yeah, right. And you know what?
You gonna swat them?
No, a SWOT analysis.
Use your most highly empathic people to determine if it's okay.
Yeah.
Because they will let you know how they feel about the experience.
It's really bad.
You got a hippie voo for us today?
Yeah, I don't think we've had this one before. This is the High Priestess. Is that an elk?
Oh, it's pretty.
She cute, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you've ever wondered what sort of wisdom dwells in your subconscious, sign up for the High Priestess's All Access Tour. She has the power to connect you to the powerful intuition you've always known was there, but haven't always trusted. Follow her into the depths of your being. Pay attention to your dreams, listen to your hunches, and maybe drop a few breadcrumbs so you can find your way back. I listen to my gut and honor its messages, except the ones that say I should eat another pizza.
So did you know that when I was in my undergrad, I did my honors thesis on why people believe what they believe when it comes to pseudoscientific phenomenon?
Yes. I did know that because we've talked about that a lot.
Did we talk about it on the show?
I don't know about on the show, but you and I've talked about it a lot.
And did we talk about on the show how, as one of my research gathering mechanisms, I put my mom's wedding ring on my left hand and went to a psychic fair in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
So I must have been 21 years old, 22 years old. And they had tarot readings, they had psychic readers, it was like a whole kit and caboodle.
Okay.
And I put my mom's wedding ring on because I was curious if that was going to adjust any of the readings that I received. And it absolutely did.
Sure.
So there
it's an
was
outward
talk
symbol
about my, white picket fence, and I see this in your future and that in your future, right? And one of the things that came about in my research was the role of confirmation bias when it comes to tarot cards or when it comes to horoscopes and how many people are drawn to horoscopes and to tarot readings because they are most often written in a positive, confirming light. So if 80% of what is provided is positive or gives you a good feel-good sense, you're willing to entertain the 20% that might be like hey, watch out for this, or hey, know that this might be happening, because 80% of it was positive. And in these other research studies, if they gave the same reading, but separate to people where 80% was negative and 20% was positive, people had a tendency to be like, nope, that's not true for me. Nope, that's the wrong card. Nope, that's not my right. So that was a huge part of my journey through college, was this what do you call it? Skepticism, that kind of stuff. And it's been interesting as we've gone through and read those cards, how I still feel very pulled in these two directions. One is like, oh my God, I really love to use that as a tool to better understand, the intuition and the leading of the breadcrumbs and the trusting myself, because so much of that is true to who I am, right? And then immediately feel this pull on the left-hand side of, well, you read the research on that, and of course that's what that says, and of course that's what, right? How do you think people reconcile that? Because there's some people that are just so devout in their spiritual beliefs that they're like, I don't care what you read in your scientific research. But there's also so many people that are so devout in their scientific research that they won't even entertain the hippie view.
I mean, I think that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if it's the way you were brought up, the way you were taught to critical think, or if you're the type of person that's like a Pollyanna and you just want to feel good, and so you gravitate towards things that make you feel good and exciting. I don't know.
Like your tolerance level of how much you will tolerate when it comes to belief or futuristic, identification or future planning. Like I was told by a psychic once I was going to marry someone with the name of C. First name starts with a C. And I remember the only person I knew at that time was Courtney Graham from my high school. And he was in a posse. And, and I thought that probably wasn't going to be my best choice, but he was very nice and sat next to me in math and he was smart.
Oh,
but I remember
because our limited pool of high school.
That's all I knew was he's the only person I know with the level C, right? But had I bought into that and I had been like, oh,
you
my
would have been
God,
close-minded.
this is right. I would have been like, well, it's really nice to meet you, Mark. But M doesn't seem to resonate, right?
I think it also depends on your belief system. Like I very much believe that trajectories and things can change in an instant. Do I believe that there's a potential path or like your life is outlined for you type of thing? I think that there's maybe a potential roadmap or a guide, but I do think based on decisions or things that happen, things can change and a new roadmap can be laid out.
So you believe that there's a certain identified path, but that path doesn't need to remain what it was going to be. Like it will not, like the universe will not always draw you back to that path, whether you want to be there or not.
No, I think the universe does. I think that it just depends on how you get there. But I also don't take it literally. I don't think it's going to be, you will be the president of the United States. Like, I don't think it's that definitive. I think it's maybe characteristics or your personality, things like that. I don't necessarily think it's you will have 2 children. I don't know. I don't think it's
that specific.
Specific. That's the word. I don't think it's that specific.
I'd be curious to hear what our listeners had to say about that. Because I know in my conversations I've had with Renee, she and her partner are very much of the mindset of it is written, right? It is written. It is written. It is written. And so there's a saying, like a saying for that within their religion that is very much like, it doesn't really matter what the details are because what is written is written. And I actually have found comfort in that as someone who might perseverate over a lot of different choices that are made or think that there's a right or a wrong way to go. I've actually found comfort in the fact that, well, if it is written, then I'm just going to make the decisions I was going to make that are, in keeping with myself and my integrity anyway. But I don't have to worry about the big plan so much because it's going to happen the way it was going to happen. And so that part for me is interesting because to my question about, how do we decide what our tolerance level is it just what you need, right? Do I need the it is written script in the back of my mind because that's what makes me feel comfortable in the moment? Does someone else need something different?
But then you look at tragedies and you look at things and it's like, well, why was that person's destiny to have a child die? Or why was their destiny to get a terrible disease, an incurable disease? Like why? So what's that saying that people say? God only gave you what you can handle. That's like the worst thing to say, in my opinion. That's the worst thing to say to someone because it's like, oh, wow, you're strong enough to handle having a child that dies. What?
Yeah, right. No one is strong enough
terrible.
to figure out how you have to. Right.
Oh my God. Or, God only puts on your plate what you can handle. Okay, so therefore, I have to lose my job. I have to go through bankruptcy, like all these things. That's part of the plan. I don't know if I buy that.
Right. What is that a part of it too? Right. Is it that the truth is the reality regardless. We just all try and make our own renditions of that based on what makes sense for our own life environment.
Maybe.
Right. And there's privilege wrapped up in that. Right. There's, lack or certain experiences that are wrapped up in that. Right. I'm curious about that because when you read those, or when I read the affirmation card, I notice myself have like that's kind of cool, but that's really as far as it gets for me. But I know that that's not the case for a lot of people who are very into spirituality or tarot or
the opposite. They're absolutely deathly afraid to even entertain the word because it is considered a tool or an object that is used by people with not good intentions or whatever it may be, you know?
Right.
So...
Right. That's a good point, too. Interesting. Just something I thought about when you were reading that.
Yeah.
All right. We've talked about Burger King. We've talked about spirituality. I think the only thing left for us to have to talk about today is kids' sports.
Oh, yeah. Part two.
Again.
We got a lot of traction on that, which I wasn't surprised about because it's so alive and well.
Yeah, really? I was surprised. So interesting. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the people that listen to our podcast have children in our same age demographics or have experienced, or they themselves have experienced some sort of, maybe it's not even sports, just kids activities. Like it could be Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, it could be 4-H, it could be art club, whatever it is, a band, I think there's a lot of emotion tied into that, specifically when maybe you're even grades at school. Right? Like when your kid isn't the top of the top, or when your kid maybe not be as good or is socially awkward or whatever. There's a lot of high emotions attached to that because you want to fix it or you want to put them in a experience where they are thriving and feel good about themselves because that's natural. Not for me. I'm going to put you in a situation where you're going to get better. And
and hope you can hang.
Right. When you're the top of the top, it's time to go.
Right.
It's time to go.
That's right. So, I was surprised, but also like pleasantly surprised because gosh, we get so much cool interaction and synergy when people are like, wow, that spoke to me, or wow, people are calling it sessions now.
I know.
Do you love that?
When I read that, I crack up.
I love it. That's how culture stretches for people.
That's
right. They're like, I really like today's session.
Right.
I love it. But that's what prompted you to say, you know what, I think we need a round 2 of the conversation about sports because
it's also because of my era, or it's the era that I'm in.
Okay.
That prompted me to say this to you. You're not there yet because your child is only 9. I have a child who's 9 or 10 and a high school kid. So I've had 2 very different experiences now based on that and what that is coming to light. And it blew my mind.
I also have had the opportunity to run the elbow to the eyeball situation past a couple of parents who are in a similar situation that you are. And they all had the same reaction you did, which was fascinating to me. People are blown away that I would threaten to go out on the court and make a statement about what was going on. And I have had such a hard time wrapping my mind. So again, this is like one of those linear things for me where like, it's so clear that that's what you do in that situation because that's the right thing. And that now I'm receiving social feedback that might not be an acceptable cultural form.
Not as a spectator.
Right.
The people who are in charge, what should have happened, and this is probably where your colleagues or whoever you were talking to, the referee should have intervened. It should have been clear cut on what was going on. There should be no conversations. It doesn't matter how old you are. There's rules, right? I think that's probably what they're feeling because as a parent and a spectator, you do not intervene.
But they felt similarly that you did that, oh, well, that probably isn't going to happen because, oh, well, that's just how sports are played now. And yeah, things are just overlooked. And like this massive injustice just happened on this court. But, well, I guess that's what you get for playing sports.
But it's the referee's job to manage that.
But when the referee doesn't,
And the
everyone
coach.
was in agreement with you that no one else should step in.
No.
And that's the part I don't understand. So I'm going to let the referee judge it. I'm going to let the referee stand in. I'm going to let the coach stand in. And then at that point, when none of those things have happened, from a bystander perspective, I just saw something happen that's completely inappropriate. And if I don't feel it's been handled, I'm going to handle it. That's the part socially that I'm getting interesting feedback from, that every other parent, it's a fear-based response. And I'm being so genuine when I say this. I can't understand the fear-based response. What are we worried about? We're worried we're going to get judged by the coach. We're worried that the other people on the bench are going to have a reaction.
No,
we're
there's
worried
rules.
about a fine.
There's
we're worried
rules.
about
Parents, spectators, do not interject. That is not your place. This is not the playground. This isn't, I just witnessed something happen. This
what
is a
rule?
formal.
Where does it say that's a rule? You're saying that's a social rule?
No, it's a league rule. You sign forms.
Oh, well, we've not signed any forms.
Oh, well,
So
we sign
maybe
forms.
for you guys, that's a rule. It's not a rule where we are.
We sign forms, we get email notices, and we get talked to from the board prior to our season. These are the rules. You do not interject.
It's
Period.
a little bit more frequent on the west side for some reason than it is on the east side.
Well,
We play on the east side all the time.
Well, here's the thing. So if that's the rules,
Yes.
then my response would be not a problem. Happy to follow those rules. Make sure you're holding up your end of the bargain about what happens with those rules.
Correct. And so when and it does happen
Sure.
on the field, because as a spectator,
Sure.
now keep in mind, the referee can only see what the referee can only see. Everybody, right.
Absolutely.
And there are referees who are terrible,
Sure.
and allow
Fair.
very bad things to happen.
Fair.
It is our expectation as parents that coaches
Absolutely.
now get involved.
Absolutely.
And when the coach looks the other way,
Yep.
that's when you have feelings. Now, my coach will say he will address referees, but he's allowed to. And if he gets kicked out, fine. He will not tolerate
Yes.
parents getting involved.
Fair.
It is, but this has been
But it's fair
very
because
spoken
it
rule.
has been identified.
Yes.
You've signed the forms. We've
Yes.
talked about it. We're all clear what the culture is here.
Yes.
So that could be a part of it because that's not happening. And I didn't sign a form. I would not have signed a form, right? Because the form would have to say, I am perfectly fine taking a backseat to justice when other people are upholding it.
Yes.
Also, to
and
the
that
point
should be
where
happening.
I do not need you to fight justice at the level I would fight justice, right? So if the coach had gone over in that particular situation and been like, hey, this is not okay, let's talk about that. If it was addressed, I think I would be like, okay, I can see that. But the feedback that I'm getting from these other parents is this, like, it's a fear-based response, or in my mind, this is what I'm chalking it up to. It's this fear-based response of putting yourself out there in the situation because it's not culturally acceptable, not previously discussed, just not culturally acceptable to be the parent who steps in. And then there's another part that comes in that is like, oh, the frequency at which this happens is so much that we would be doing it all the time. But I hear that and I think we have a massive problem on our hands here. In a multitude of ways. One, why is that happening as often as it's happening? Second, why have we created, where did this cultural expectation come from that no one is saying something? No, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not on every kid for every little bad call or thing that happens.
I think it's the opposite of what you just said. There have been way too many parents interjecting and saying how they personally feel about things. And therefore the game is constantly in chaos because parents are interjecting whatever their thoughts are. So they have to put a rule. Listen, no one cares about what the parents think. It comes down to the ref and the coach, period. And if the coach looks the other way and allows a kid to be violent, then we just have to be angry about it. The coach should manage it. Because the minute the parents get involved, we now have this whole escalated thing. It's just become a problem.
So then in that situation, if I were to just let it go, I'm 100% would need to go up to the coach at the end of the game and say, what the hell just happened there? And my kid will not continue to play on this. Now, it would be very hard for me to reserve that in the moment.
I know.
Right?
Especially if your kid got hurt.
That would be okay?
Yes. Oh, you have every right to have a conversation with the coach about anything you want. And again, keep in mind, I know nothing about sports. So for me to have any sort of conversation with the coach would probably be inappropriate until I ran it by somebody who knew what they were doing. Right?
Well, it's not just that you don't know much about sports, but you're also conflict avoidant. So you're not going to have that conversation because you're going to be really uncomfortable with it anyway.
Right. But if there was a situation that I felt was unjust and wasn't handled the correct way, I would just have a conversation and I would get more information. And then I would have to decide, am I comfortable in how this person who's in that quote unquote authority position handled it? And if not, then I have to make some choices, right? And there have been people I know who had to make that choice. Some people don't like the way certain things go down. There are certain teams, we all have our little nicknames for certain teams. There's certain teams on the East Side that we all hate because we know what's going to go down. Right. And so this is also an integrity lesson that the coach has to teach the kids. And it's like, guys, we know we're playing a really aggressive team today. Be prepared. Be prepared. Be conscious. And children are not allowed to say a damn word to the ref at all or the coach. You are silent. You listen to what you need to do during. This is all culture, right? Of the games and stuff. And then you can have conversations after. But in the moment, you go with the call. How many times have you been where it's bad calls or they're overlooking the trips or?
But why do I feel okay with that? I do feel okay with that. Maybe
it's just because it wasn't prefaced ahead of time,
or maybe it's because I don't trust that my 9-year-old has the judgment. You know, he's allowed to feel what he needs to feel in that moment, but I don't trust that he has the experience or judgment in that moment to not react. But I also don't trust my own judgment to that. But that's
the difference, because I think that the things that your child particularly struggles with is always going to be an issue when it comes to that kind of stuff. Just because that's his natural. You're so linear and you're so neurodivergent that you can't constantly ebb and flow and switch. It's too difficult. Therefore, God forbid an injustice happen based on that, which I totally understand. Totally understand. I don't know. I think it's the same thing when the culture, if your child gets hurt and goes down, you don't run on the field as a parent. You have to let them manage it, and then you can walk around and go to the bench as long as the coach is okay with it to intervene. The other component is sometimes the parents make it worse just because of the kid's emotions, right? Because they want their parent. So all of a sudden they're hurt more. It's more dramatic. If you let somebody else handle it, maybe they can diffuse the situation much faster, right? You have to think about all those components.
But you also know your kid, right?
Yes, so and that's where you make the judgment call.
Right. I understand we're not, Carter's not on a basketball team where he's the only kid on the team. So I understand that there's team dynamics and there's expectations and all of that. But in the first tournament that we went to, this kid got pushed down to the ground, not intentionally. It just happened, right? And you could hear this kid hit his head on that floor throughout that gym.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, oh, this is not
terrible.
Okay. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't get up. So within just a couple of minutes, his mother went out on the court to check on him.
Why didn't the coach?
There's no doubt in my mind that I would have done the same thing. And it didn't feel awkward to me. It didn't feel weird to me. And then the coach came over and then, I think they moved the players around and whatever. And then he went and sat on the bench and he got himself together. But it really sounded like he cracked his head. So I think what I'm saying is, for someone who's a little neurodivergent, there's some weird social expectations of what happens in kids' sports that I'm not playing by the same rules and that are likely going to make it very awkward for myself or for my son. And I know we're not the only people that fall into this situation, but in that case, it was okay for that mother to go check on her son. Why? Because it sounded like this kid cracked his frickin' skull open. Like that's, I understand. So my kid gets pushed down. I'm not going to be running on the court and being like, are you okay, buddy? Right? He'd be embarrassed as shit if I did that. Right. But it's like trusting your own personal judgment. But then it's when the withholding of your personal judgment has to lapse because that's not culturally what's happening in that sport. That is just, I'm finding it very confusing to me.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line because you also don't want to be the problem parent and you'll get cut next year because then they don't want to deal with it.
But this raises an interesting dynamic too that I think is going to go into some of what you wanted to bring up today. There's a very odd social game that has to be played alongside your kid's journey in sports.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not with your kid. A little bit of it is with your kid. Like your kid needs to fit in with the right kids and your kid needs to accept invitations to go play with these other kids. And, but it's also with the parents needing to connect socially with these other parents because there's like this weird politic game that happens within the who gets selected and who gets told about certain events and who gets told about the up and coming tournaments that might be happening. And you're either in the in-group of being a part of that, or you have to find out on your own. And if you do, good luck to you, or you're intentionally left out of that. And I'm really struggling with that whole piece because I'm completely disinterested in participating in any of that, but also have such a strong desire that if my child has, at the end of the day, after all the things we've tried, decided that basketball is his thing, am I going to be the social reason why he doesn't get asked to participate? And then what do I need to do or change among myself in order to make sure that he at least has a fair shot? And then how do I not change my personality so much and start hanging out with a bunch of people that I don't care to hang out with, just as a result of trying to make sure that my kid has the same opportunities?
I think it's a fine line. I think there's a lot that goes into that. I think there's it also depends on your kid's ability and how far they want to be pushed, right? Because you're not going to, we talked about this before, you're not going to put them in a situation where X, Y, and Z is required and he just doesn't want to do that. That's totally fine. You don't have to do anything. You could play with your friends in the cul-de-sac.
But what's this social game? Has this social game always been around?
I can't answer that
thing
because I didn't play sports.
I'd have to ask my parents if there's a social game. I don't know. I don't know if they would have recognized there was such a social game. But it feels so to your point that you were talking to me about earlier, this starts when they're 5, 6, 7 years old.
Oh, even younger than that. Our kids started playing soccer at 2 and 3, and then TSC has a program.
Good is that?
Well, they have a program. They have a skill building program.
Run around and
it's like bunch ball, but they're learning the
my kids
core.
picking daisies too.
They're learning the core concepts of they were in dance class too. They're learning core concepts of in soccer we don't pick up the ball. They're learning these core things, right? And then we start to move into different opportunities and we look at the skill level. Taylor was very advanced at a very young age. So we went to different towns because she was just so bored on certain teams. And then other coaches would see her and recruit her and be like, she needs to come over here. And then we'd look into that, it's a whole process, but she wanted that. Sawyer saw what her sister did and just followed in the footsteps. Do I think she's passionate about soccer like Taylor? Probably not. Is she good at it and capable? Absolutely. But would that have been her first pick? I don't know. She just wants to do everything her sister does. So I've had a lot more experience with Sawyer because I've already gone through it with Taylor.
But the socialness associated with who you don't piss off, who you need to be careful about what you're saying things around, who you...
But I had to learn that through Philip.
Connect yourself with.
I was the one that was like you. I was like, oh my God, they just heard her. And Philip's like, you shut your mouth. You don't say that. You shut it. You say nothing. You be silent, let them deal with it. I've had to learn that through people who've been around the block or are refs. A lot of parents on our team are refs in this.
I'm talking
field.
about the social aspect of the relationships you have to have with the other moms.
Oh, yeah.
The relationships you have to have with the other coaches who also are married to the moms who,
Right. They're all parents. Yeah.
And I don't know what this is in basketball yet. I'm just assuming that it's a part of this social game, but like, whose husband is a coach of which group, and then who do you not want to piss off because they're not going to be invited to that, right?
I think you just...
Who do you want your child to interact with so that they can stay in the same hotel room because you want them to be buddies so they get more opportunities? What the hell is that?
I think they seek you out. At least that's been my experience.
I'm so glad I did not have to experience any of this with my kids. Seriously.
What did your kids do, Scott?
Sean played baseball. He played baseball from, I think, age 6 to probably 12. And then he wasn't good enough to go on to like the travel sport, the travel team. And he didn't care enough. Like he played, he had fun when he was there. He didn't get all pissed off when they lost. He didn't go crazy when they won. He just enjoyed it. And that was it. And when he wasn't playing baseball, he wasn't thinking about baseball. It was something that he was doing in the moment.
Isn't that beautifully normal? Isn't that a beautifully normal child's reaction to just enjoying or not enjoying or participating in an event?
That we didn't have a little monster who was like all about the Yankees and lived and died for the Yankees or whatever, and got went crazy, and the kids got in fights, and they were it's like, oh my God. And then when he didn't, he's like, I don't think I want to play anymore. And he started playing golf, and he was good at golf. So we're like, yeah, you can play golf.
Great.
And then he didn't want to play golf anymore, and we're like, all right, whatever you want to do. He kept playing the trombone throughout school, and now he's a music ed major, and he's awesome at the trombone. So,
he found his niche.
Yeah. And he didn't like, sports was just something that like, and we did there was I think 3 years, he was in international league. And so for 3 years he played, and the Fairport team, I think won the championship that like 3 years or
for
2 years.
For the golf?
No, for baseball. He was for Little League. He was on a good team. Like he had good coaches, but there were a couple of times like early on where it was terrible.
Oh yeah.
And it was like coach pitch, and the coach that was pitching was terrible. He used to say, can you have the other coach pitch? Because none of the kids can hit this pitch.
Right.
None of them. He's pitching terribly, and it was an interesting ride. Had I not been drinking at that time, I don't think I could have made it through.
Yeah, well.
Thankfully, I'm not in that place anymore. But there were some parents that were just like, oh my God, really?
Well, the part I have to keep track of for this is how much is what Carter really wants, and how much is me feeling like I might need to scheme in the background to figure out how my kid has the best opportunity for success.
Yeah,
and then after I have schemed, I have not, but let's pretend I've schemed. After I've schemed, if he then decides he doesn't want to do this thing anymore, am I going to allow him to not do the thing because I've now created a social bank that is big enough in order to accommodate where he wanted to go?
Well, I think you have to assess that fairly early. I just do. I think you have to assess.
Good luck doing that with a neurodivergent kid who, like Scott's, jumps around from chess club to basketball to this to that to the other thing. And that's another part of the problem. Yep. I don't need my kid to know he wants to go to the NBA at the age of 9. I want him to enjoy playing. Like at the rec center, they offer this thing in the summer that's like, come try out a bunch of different sports. I freaking love that.
Yep.
You know who's not going to that? The kids that are like hell bent, I'm basketball all the way.
Yep.
Hell bent, I'm lacrosse all the way.
Yep.
Hell bent, I'm between lacrosse and basketball, but that's where I'm spending my time, and I'm not focused on anything else.
A lot of kids are multi-sport athletes, specifically
right now,
in my...
Until they also have to figure out, you better be picking soccer at the end of the game, and you're having to make that investment strategy socially into, put it in both places.
My experience is they still pull it off all the way through high school. I know a lot of kids who are multi-athletes, and their parents have them in travel leagues, all of them. And then the coaches just work together, because at the end of the day, the coaches want them active every single day in some capacity. And that may mean you're on this team doing your lacrosse game today, but then tomorrow you'll come to practice because you can. They just make it work.
There's
lot of them
nothing
run
wrong
track.
with those kids that are all about sports and that's their thing.
Sure, but
And
that has to be their thing.
That has to be, they have
thing.
to be, it's not
Taylor's
the
all in
parents'
because
thing
it's her.
for
I'm
them.
actually annoyed. I'm like, oh my God, do we have to go to another damn game?
Right. As long as they want to.
Yeah, they
I'll tell
wanna
you
do
what,
it.
though, my, I don't even know if I should say this on the podcast.
We can cut it out.
It
But we won't.
one of the reasons why my sister-in-law's family is not close with our family and my in-laws anymore is because they put their kids' sports ahead of everything, ahead of all of it. So we had a birthday party for my mother-in-law. It was their 70th, and none of them came because so and so had a game, and they were younger. So it was like, are you telling me they can't miss this game?
Oh,
And it's
no,
like,
we miss games.
He's the best player on the team. So if he misses the game, then everybody's like, it's like, come on.
Oh, no,
Really?
no.
And it's like, oh, so like you couldn't take them to the game. Why can't your husband take the kid to the game? And the daughter whose mother's birthday it is could come.
Correct.
Right? It was that was like the point at which everything started to go downhill with the relationships with our two families. And it was all due to like that whole sports thing. Like sports was the be all end all, and it came first above everything else, above family. No matter what, you cannot miss this game. You are the most important kid. You play all these different sports and we worship you. And it's
But that's where they found their identity. So that is the core of the problem. They found their identity in that. And therefore that took up priority. No, we there are many times that we're like, nope, we can't go to this tournament this weekend because we got such and such a going on. And then the kid doesn't play.
right.
You know, we make those choices all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be child driven.
Yeah.
Because the minute my kid is like, I don't want to go to practice for the 20th time this week, that's not good.
Yeah.
They've never said that.
My brother really wanted my nephew to play baseball, and he was really got to play because he played baseball. He played baseball when he was younger. My brother did, and he loved it. He was all about little league and playing baseball. My nephew didn't want to do it. My nephew was an outdoor kid. He liked to climb trees. He liked animals. Like he had all these iguanas and stuff, and he didn't want to play baseball anymore. My brother's like, "You're playing baseball. You're playing baseball." And finally, it was like, okay, I guess you really don't want to play baseball. You don't have to play baseball.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to freaking play baseball. I'm not you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
That's hard for some parents.
He got it though. He figured it out.
Yeah.
It just took him a while.
The other component that my youngest coach says at the parent meeting every year we have to have, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be encouraging for the kids. This is not, your kids aren't going to the Olympics. They're not, going to the whatever World Cup. I don't even know what soccer is called. And he said, if you feel that strongly, you need to join your own damn adult league. And you need to get, he calls it the yayas. He's like, get the yayas, get your own yayas out in your own capacity.
Because the parents are living vicariously through their child?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a problem. You're supposed to cheer and be excited. And in theory, you should be doing it for every kid on the team because we're a team, even as parents. The minute you start screaming and getting in the ref's ear and all this stuff, it's a problem. He also hates when the parents coach from the sidelines. Yeah. He's like, you have no idea what we're teaching these kids during practice. You have no idea what our goal for this game is. You have no idea. So do not open your mouth other than, yay, good job.
Here's where I feel really bad for the parent. I feel really bad for the parent. You've created an environment here where you're like, sit down, shut up, don't open your mouth, and cheer it on. Over
Wait,
here,
the coach says you're being the coach.
Correct. Over here, though, you're like, scheme behind the scenes, though, and make sure your kid's got the best opportunity possible. Make sure that there's high stakes because there might be a scholarship on the horizon. Make sure that kid knows that if they want to be anyone when they get older, then they have to do X, Y, and Z. Make sure that you shut your mouth enough that you're actually, fitting in with the culture. However, don't fit in too much with the culture. Right? Do you see, like, we're putting all of this sociocultural context on these parents, but yet we're turning around and saying, shut up and sit down.
But isn't that life? Isn't that how you go through school? Isn't that how you go through preschool? Isn't that how you go through life?
What do you mean?
It's just navigating the situation that you're in. So when I would work with my son and throw him baseballs and I'm not Mr. Sports by any means, but we'd work on some rudiments and stuff like that. And then when he went to playing the game, I've seen this before where the coach is saying, all right, do this. And then one dad's like, no, Johnny, remember this? This is what I taught you. Do it that way.
No.
And the coach is like, what the fuck am I here for? You know what I mean? Like, they don't want their kid to listen to the coach because they want to be the coach so bad, but they're not.
They're not.
So they have to set
you derail
I get that
everything
part.
they're working for.
I get
but
that
you're
part.
talking about
Right.
I
get that part.
Yeah.
It feels like a double standard to me where we're like, I'm not going to pay attention to the fact of what you've had to do in order to scheme to get here. And that you screaming on the sidelines is related to the fact that you just want your kid to have the best opportunity for success. What I'm going to do is tell you to sit down and shut up.
Shut
Shut down and shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so like we lose I don't think it's, I don't know. We're like creating this double standard system where we're like, you need to sit there and act like a parent who just wants their kid to be out here and have a good time and enjoy what they're doing. But also behind the scenes, let's like fail to completely acknowledge that you're a mini recruiter who's doing all the things behind the scenes to make sure that your kid has the best opportunity for success. Those
see them
two
as
things don't go together.
I see them as different. I see them as you are literally just the spectator, like in that moment at the game, right? You are the spectator. You are just enjoying all of the hard work that they have put into something, and then they debrief the game after with the coach. The coach even goes so far as to say, "Don't even bring it up on the way home. Just tell them good job, even if they were terrible." Like we are the ones that give them the feedback, not you as parents, unless the kid brings it up. Sawyer will come home and be like, "Mom, I totally made a mistake," but she's saying shit I don't even know what she's talking about. I'm like, "Well, look good to me." Like I don't freaking know, but it's the relationship that they're building and the trust that they're building with that coach, and that's their role. We're just the cheerleaders, but we're the vehicle that's putting them in that scenario or that team or that experience or that whatever, and then just hoping and trusting that we've aligned them with the people we want influencing their child. Because you have control with that. I don't have control with who teaches my kid at school. I'm forced to the teacher. I may not like their ideals, their whatever, but I got to go along with it, and I got to teach my kid how to navigate that situation.
Damn liberal teachers.
But, like, if you don't want to be seen as a problem child, don't cause problems. Sit down and shut up.
I feel lost and like I have a really strong opinions. I just don't know what they are. That's what I feel.
But
in
I think that's your justice coming out. You want everything to be fair, and
I feel
it's not.
Confused. I feel confused and lost. And
so you're the type of person who would feel strongly that if there's a parent cut, let's say there's a great kid on the team.
Yeah.
And they're really great, but the parent can't get their shit together. They can't be on time to practices because of X, Y, and Z. They never show up to participate in extracurriculars like all the other parents. But this kid's great, right? Mm-hmm. That kid is at the mercy of the parent. Mm-hmm. That kid's getting cut.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You do agree with that.
And I believe we should have a conversation with the parent. And I think that the coach should say to the parent, your kid has so much potential and they're really, really great. However, the rest of this team is also important. And here's what the problems are that arise from Johnny not making it to practice on time. I believe this to be true in band, to be true in theater, to be true in sports, to be true in, you have to have that opportunity. It's not about the one kid. It's about how that one kid plays into the dynamic of the rest of the kids. I feel that way about performance appraisals at work. It's just in general. And ultimately, if the parent is not able to get their act together for this kid, then we're not going to continue to accommodate the bad behavior that continues to happen because the rest of the team is going to be impaired because of that.
Okay. So then what happens when your kid is a part of this particular basketball team? He's made great friends and whatever, and all of the other kids' skills are excelling, but yours is not.
Time to go.
Okay. So you would be fine with that.
Absolutely. Your skills aren't to where they need to be. And I know that you've tried really hard and I know you've put in, all of the time that needs to. However, your skills are best matched for an XYZ group. It's not this group.
So then what is
exactly what happened with my son.
Well, and that's a normal thing that happens with That happens in school.
But you know where that's not okay from
Where?
a social standpoint. What happens when all your mom's groups, right, that are all playing soccer together and you've played and played and played for all this time? That's where you build up all this social capital. And then one of those kids get cut.
Oh, yeah.
And that mom, is she still part of the soccer group? Is she still in the group chat? She's still coming to wine nights on Friday?
Well, yes,
is
if
she,
you have
right? Like, that's what I mean about the social capital.
Not formally in that group. It would be, you would have to form an outside chat.
Correct.
And hopefully keep that going.
Yeah. Correct. And does that happen? Fuck no, that doesn't happen.
It does.
Very rarely. And if it does, it ain't lasting long because your social capital is so wrapped up in that community.
Well, not only that, but that is your entire...
That's your
time.
life. That's your soccer mom, right? Yes. That's where you get the term soccer mom.
Yes. You have no free time.
Every moment that you spend that is not at work is spent with your family or doing something soccer-wise.
Right. And
That's
that becomes
what
your
I'm
community.
talking about when it comes to that social capital you've built up. You've schemed and done what you need to do. Scheme is such a terrible word.
I know, but I know what you mean.
You've done what you've had to do behind the scenes to make sure your kid fits in enough. Your kid's friends with the right friends. Your kid isn't making friends with the kid who's going to be the loser who's going to get kicked off, right? There's that social scheming that happens behind that you are doing in order to position your child, right? Hey, we don't talk to so-and-so about such and such because because their dad is the coach of whatever. And here's where, like, it's like this little mini politic game. It's incredible. And then the minute that you get kicked off, it's like, were we really genuine friends with this person? Did we really care what happened to this person? Or were we friends with this person for a little while because we really liked them? But now is that social reaction going to fall off because you have no social worth to me anymore? And I'm so hell-bent on what I need to do from a social perspective to make sure that my kid is fitting in this environment. That's the part I genuinely do not think my parents were participating in any of that in the 90s.
Yeah, probably not.
It feels unreal to me. It's like, only certain people are in email groups. Only certain people get included in text messages.
Yeah.
Only certain people get invited to certain tournaments. Sometimes there's like this scheming from a very young age about who's going to ultimately be on the team when we get into high school. Like, so that's okay. All of that is okay. But me yelling because my kid just got the, I don't know if they're even in the same category.
I don't know if
they're related in my mind. I need to keep my mouth shut on that bench because if I become the trouble parent, then Carter's going to be impacted.
Well,
So it
you could
doesn't
also be the
matter.
trouble parent scheming on the outside because if that shit gets back to the coach, it's a parent problem.
Absolutely.
It may not impact the coach at all, but the coach knows it's impacting X, Y, Z. I know so many stories of parents that have said to coaches, just so we're clear, my kid's not coming back if that kid's coming back. And if that coach prefers my kid over yours, it happens all the time.
So here's my question. On a scale of 100%, how much of it is about these kids that just want to play sports and have a good time?
Not in this arena.
And how much of it is who's liked enough or, keeping their act together enough or blowing someone in the corner, to frickin' make sure that their kid gets on such and such a team.
Wait a second. What league is this again?
How about that one? Yeah, Scott's all in with his
Right?
TMJ.
That's what...
Scott's all in. What is he going to do? Scott, you roll.
I'm cutting this out. We're done.
No, but you're absolutely right. I don't.
Sorry, your kid doesn't make the cut.
But is that when is that when you're living vicariously through your kid? Like,
I don't know.
That has defined you as a human, that your kid is so good.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm see, this is where it comes for a confusion place for me. I don't know if I really care about my kid playing basketball or if I'm playing a social game or if I'm just trying to make sure he fits in or if I really care. I just that's specific to Carter, and I don't even feel at this point it is specific to Carter. I'm using that as example. I'm so confused about which game we're playing here and which social construct we're playing.
I wasn't involved in any of this. It was like Sean was just going through all of this, and I was just sitting around kind of making sure he didn't die. You know what I mean? Like if he was friends with one kid, fine. If he's friends with another kid, fine. I didn't get involved in, oh no, like don't talk to that kid. And I let him choose which kids.
Well,
and usually
unless the kid's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
and
well,
we're not talking to that kid.
There were kids.
My kid wouldn't talk to him anyway.
So there were kids that at the time, looking back retrospectively, they were definitely neurodivergent kids, and they were eccentric, and they were the kids that the other kids would pick on. And my kids knew that those kids were different, but they didn't treat them any differently.
Which they shouldn't.
Which they shouldn't, but the other kids did. And I could see that and felt bad. And we would talk to him and be like, did you think it was okay that everybody laughed at Johnny because of what he said and how he plays ball? No, I think that's terrible. Right. Exactly. And that's it. That's the only thing that we talked about. But God, we didn't get involved in any of the scheming or if we were asked to be, can you do this for the team? Yeah. Cause it was always the team mom, the team parent or whatever. And I think one year we were a team parent. But most of the time it was kind of like the same group. Like there's cliques. You can't get away. There's always the cliques. There's always the kid who's really good, and his parents are really popular because the kid's really good, and you're like,
or the parents just cool.
And the yeah, right. Or they're just they're the rich ones. You know?
Right. They
so
bring
they
all
have
the
the team
snacks.
party at their mansion, and we're like, hey, you ain't coming to our house.
Right. Well, wait, I do have to say one thing because Sawyer is the first kid on the team when somebody does something that is wrong or made a mistake or whatever, and they're feeling very bad about themselves. She immediately goes over and hugs them. That's her love language. She's
that's awesome.
Touchy person. And I've had many parents text me and say, on the way home, so-and-so felt so good when Sawyer came and gave him a hug. Sawyer made a mistake not too long ago and scored on herself on her own team. And one girl got right in her face on her team and is like, you just lost this game for us, and was like really mean to her. So Sawyer felt really right. She felt really, really bad about it. And I saw the whole thing happen. Oh. She sat behind the team. She was feeling really bad. Oh. Two other little girls came over and gave her a hug, and then she boosted her confidence back up and whatever. But, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I let Sawyer come to me and talk about it. And I said, we talked it through, but am I going to go up to that parent and be like, I got to talk to you about what your kid just said to mine? Hell no. I don't know.
I could see Erin saying, just going up to, like, do you feel bad about yourself saying that?
I just want to let you know
I would go right to the kid.
Yeah.
I would go right to the kid. And I would say, hey, I know sometimes it gets really tough when the pressure's on. But when someone scores in their own goal, do you think they did that on purpose? Well, how do you think they felt? Everything I do is about how do you think that other person felt? I do that for Carter all the time, and I do that. And I'm not doing it to shame the kid. I'm doing it because there's a freaking life lesson there that's incredibly important.
Right.
Or if I didn't have any relationship with the kid, maybe I'd go to the parents and I'd be like, hey, I'm not telling you how to parent here, but I do know that sometimes things get a little rough. And when my kid scored on themselves and your kid decided to go up to her and say, hey, you're really blue goats for the whole fucking team, maybe you shouldn't do that again. I don't know. Maybe that's where they'll have a conversation. You want to have a conversation? Great. You don't want to have a conversation? Great. But I'm going to at least make sure that you know that we're both clear in this moment that a fucking conversation should be happening. Because I'm so big on accountability. I would be doing that with my kid. And it makes me so mad that my kid's the only kid that's going to be held accountable because your kid's a damn asshole.
Yeah, but did the parent feel the same way?
I don't know. You're an asshole too?
Did the parent? Well, that's the thing.
So maybe that's my part, right? My part is I don't care who thinks what should have happened there. Right. The answer is that was incorrect. And whether you do something about it or not is up to you. But what I'm going to do is make sure that you don't go to bed tonight thinking you're okay.
Well, and I have to check myself because I'm not competitive. So for me, it's not about winning. Right, where other people it is. And it's like, well,
it's not about winning either. And it's about feelings.
Well, Philip was like, well, she scored on herself. She needs to sit the rest of the game. And I'm like, oh, okay. Again, he's a coach, right? This is how coach. And I don't think about that. I'm just thinking she feels bad enough that she knows she messed it up. She didn't need some other girl on the team to throw it in her face.
Exactly.
You know? And so all of these things are going through. And in that moment, I'm seeing her crying. But I can't be that mom to go over in that bench because that is not.
But I am thinking how I'm going to repair that shit in the car.
Correct. But you know who does? The extra coaches. They manage it all. And if they don't, then she can't be on that team. These coaches are wonderful.
We have been lucky. I've gone up to the coach after the game and said, I saw what you did to support Carter during that moment. And I just wanted to let you know that's exactly what he needed. Thanks for seeing him.
But see, that's you.
And that's great. I
need to be in an environment like that.
But that's the environment we're going to be in at the end of the day.
And that's for me, the beautiful part about choices. You know, you're with school, you're forced with who you got, right? Who you're assigned to.
At the end of the day, it comes down to this for me. We need to keep track of why we have our children in the events that we have them in. Again, I don't care if it's band, marching band, theater, sports.
Doesn't matter.
Chess club. I don't care what it is. We have to keep track of what it is that the end goal is, the end goal for us about what we want them to learn about that experience. And as many times as whatever that choice is that you have to be in whatever event tries to pull you in a million different directions, and it will. I can tell you already it will. That if you keep your eye on what did I want my child to learn at the end of this and how do I stay the track for that?
Yeah.
Then that's ultimately at the end of the day what I think we're all trying to do. And then the second thing I think we're trying to do is we all just want our child to be accepted.
Sure.
No matter what that looks like, all the social scheming, all of you're the best player on the team, you're the worst player on the team, but you're the best friend on the team. At the end of the day, we're trying as parents to make sure that our child has a place and to give that child the best place it possibly can so that when in 18, you send them off and whatever they're going to do, they're going to do.
Right.
You set them up to be in the best place you can. And everything that we've talked about in this session is like the outskirts of when that goes too far.
Yeah.
And to keep track of that. And just if I can constantly be reminding myself, what is the main thing I want Carter to get out of sports?
Right. Right.
And if it's team camaraderie and
enjoyment,
and fun and enjoyment, then the minute that whatever he's involved in steps outside of that, then it's my job as a parent to get him back into the Y program or get him back into. But I have to be prepared that all of these other things that we have been talking about are going to pull in a million different directions.
I know.
And it is alive and well. Yeah. And it is my job at the end of the day to make sure that what my main goal I have for him is where we end up when he is 17, 18 or whatever.
Even beyond.
Right.
Even beyond, because at the end of the day, you're paving that road.
Right.
Yep.
You know what else you need to keep track of?
Your TMJ.
The fucking time.
I know. I know. We didn't even talk about what I wanted to talk about. It's fine. We're going to sports part 3.
Whatever. I know that I am the only person who can bring forth the creativity that lives in my body.
Look at that.
I am magic.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, wow. Wow.
That's the creativity that lives in your body.
That must be it. I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.